However, on aika tosel Poddy, ilkasannik Stumpy.
Ja minä kol.
Jossa main ittili summonalainen legenda Metsanauris. Itkatalussa on Metsan latto TSM. Sta achril tolomninen Endpointen kan säga 3 siffror. Europassa. Allora che si sa made that mitten foot.
Beautiful.
That's good. What a beautiful language.
I see cringe in Metsanauris' face. I hear tears.
Holy shit, he's
no.
left the Discord call. What the fuck?
God, it's over already. It's the record.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even understand half of that, but
What do you mean?
good job. I understood some words in between, so
Okay.
that's pretty good already.
Is Finland one of those countries where they appreciate people as long as they try to speak the language? Like we associate like Germany. If you try in Germany, they'll love you. But if you try in France and you're wrong, they'll hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the same. Honestly, like if there's like Finnish tourists going to like the Mediterranean countries, there's always the guys from the bars and stuff speaking Finnish, and the Finnish guys are like, "Whoa, let's go!" Everyone's so excited about that.
So, right, quick, what should that sound like? The Finnish side of that translation, what should it sound like?
Alright, wait, I have closed it, so I will see.
How dare you? My doc that we worked so long on.
Voi vau on aika toiselle poddyseelle kanssani Stumpy ja minä Cole, jossa meihin liittyy suomalainen legenda Metsanauris. Aikataulussa on Metsän lähtö TSM:stä, allekirjoittaminen Endpointin kanssa ja 3. sija Euroopassa. Aloitaksesi meidät miten voit?
For listeners, Metsa didn't say that. I said it again. And that's me trying. So I hope people realise that I obviously put on a bit whenever we do these intros, and I deliberately do it badly.
I'd say in all seriousness that the way Metsanauris you read it, there was more flow to it. There was more meter. Stumpy's you sounded quite disjointed, and I say that with Mets it was like Voi vau on aika tosel Poddy. It was like sort of doodle.
Yeah. I've been watching a show called Norseman, and the accent, they all speak in English, and the accent is honestly one of the best things in the world, because it's so bouncy, and everyone's having a good time when they're talking. And I love the fact in this, Europe gets translated into Europassa. It's just it's so much more fun than just Europe. Europassa. So obviously we are joined by big man Metsanauris. He's the talk of the town at the moment after going from TSM, ending up on my prediction gold team, where at the start of season 9 I said, hey, season 9 is not their season, but season 10 will be, and I'm even more confident now that you're on that side. How has it been moving from TSM to Endpoint? It's been a little bit tumultuous recently.
I'm just gonna start with that I haven't signed with Endpoint, so I'm not officially part of them. But I'm just we played the tournament, did pretty well. It's looking pretty good, but like nothing's official yet. So cool. I'm gonna start with that. It's definitely been a very fun playing with them. I played for like a couple of weeks now with them. Honestly, great couple of guys. They're really fun to be around. Like even outside of the game, the swims are very fun. I've been enjoying my time so much, and it's been very exciting time for me, honestly.
And you're going into the Fusion tournament with them as well. So there's going to be at least one more event with the three of you kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, that is true.
That makes me very happy to hear, because honestly, watching you guys in the EU Spring Series, it was a breath of fresh air. And I wonder if for you as a player, when you go to a team that's been struggling for a while, such as TSM, and then obviously you haven't signed for Endpoint yet, but you're playing with them, how much more freedom does that give you on the pitch, really? Just that sort of, it must feel like a breath of fresh air, right?
Yeah, well, it's definitely been like a completely new playstyle, and it makes so much sense.
Yeah, you could say that playing with Virtuoso.
Yes.
But like, it's like a breath of fresh air for sure, but like, it's just also in the gameplay, I feel like I can do way more in this team, and I can feel way more comfortable with like everything that's working inside the team, like behind the scenes, and everything feels more comfortable for me, as obviously the playstyle as well gives me like a lot of space on the field, which I really like, because if it's one guy's demo, there's 1/3 of more space in the field. So yeah,
I feel like the best thing, and I tweeted it out, was, and you replied to it when I said your interview that you had. I guess it was on the spring series. There's only tournaments at the moment, which is nice to say. That you went on there and you just looked so fucking happy. Like you were just beaming after like one of the results, and you're just like, yeah, this is just good. Like you're obviously having so much fun, and it's been very nice to. Obviously, it was an unfortunate end to the RLCS. Obviously, it didn't go as planned, and it seemed like it was at least sort of it was revitalizing. Obviously, to be sort of brought back up to a really good positive level. Have you felt that like? You've just been a little bit happier at the moment, like in your life, like going through obviously with Endpoint, having an amazing result of coming third in Europe.
I mean, obviously it's been very stressful for me, considering like I relegated, my whole career is on the line, and like I had like a couple chances with Endpoint in scrims to like prove myself, because that was the only LCS team I got to scrim with. That was the only chance I got, so. It was very stressful for me, but like I've been enjoying this like 3-4 weeks, however much I've been looking for a team. I've been enjoying it so much in terms of like I actually love playing the game. I love scrimming. I love just grinding, honestly, and I've gotten to play with a lot of different people, and everyone's, if it's tryouts and everything, there's no problems in teams. It just feels really good to play in team environments where I enjoy being in, and just like grinding because of the love for the game, you know.
Does that ever? I mean, we're at risk of sort of going interview mode, but there's a lot about Metsanauris that I want to know and understand. So I'm not too worried about just chucking a few questions at you at the start. Did that ever start to go away when there are at least 3 seasons where, in the nicest way, you were starting to sort of drop down the pecking order a little bit after the method, then early complexity heyday? Did you ever just think, I am sick of this game? It doesn't give me the same joy compared to how, I mean, the most famous Metsanauris moment, Season 5, the Metsanauris chant.
Which we're going to get to.
Exactly, I hope so. That's why I sort of sneakily put that in there. But yeah, was there ever a slip, at least in your own internal view, of how fun Rocket League was as a game?
I always still love the game. That's one thing that has never changed. I love playing the game. I love grinding and practicing and improving. But that's like the one thing that I struggle with if I'm in a team that I don't enjoy being in, or people don't have a good attitude, or I can't really put everything into improving, and the attitudes don't match. That's when I feel worse, I'd say. But I never had doubts on if I want to continue playing, or if I have what it takes to be at the top, honestly, because I knew, like, even this season when we relegated, I had one of my worst seasons ever. Instantly after the season ended, I knew I could be in RCS if I just gave one chance from any team, honestly. So it wasn't like I doubted myself at any point, but more like I wasn't really happy in the situations I was in before.
I mean, we touched on Virtuoso earlier, right? And I think everybody right now is loving watching how horrible he must be to play against. Because I saw a guy on Twitter called Chewy made a compilation of every single one of Vert's demos during the spring series.
I haven't seen that.
Right. I think he got 83. Right?
Yeah, I am.
It's amazing. It's about I don't know, 6 minutes long or something. There's about 83 demos. He averaged just under 5 demos per game. The first 2 minutes of the montage is him just hitting Devo. Like, he got Ronicky and Flakes 2 or 3 times each. Devo's is his target, right? And I think the second most, the second player who got the most demos, I think they got 50 or 60. Like, he was still 30 more demos than second place. Obviously, you spoke about it a bit on the Spring Series broadcast, but you said that it makes the game feel more free, and that you know that you are able to go in and attack because there's now 2 players instead of 3 there. Is it did you have to retrain yourself of what plays that you could go for and what you could reliably hit each time when there are 2 players as opposed to 3?
I mean, honestly, not, because that's what I do every day. I just play ranked 2v2 or whatever on stream. That's basically it. Like, if you have one guy that's the demo, or Virtuoso goes for a demo, he takes one guy out of the game. He takes himself most often out of the game as well when he's going for the demo. So then it's a 2v2. And if we have the ball, we can do so much with the free space. We can do so much to outplay them. It's like pretty much a 2v2 situation for like 5 seconds or so. So I wouldn't say it's that different. I feel way more natural playing in a role where I'm more defensive now, which I have done before as well. But like in this style, we played it for a couple of weeks now. I feel very comfortable because it's been like me and Wade playing pretty defensive, which we are naturally. Like if we can choose to take the more defensive or offensive option, it's our natural instinct to go for the defensive one. So it's working very well for me, at least at the moment.
I think that's what excites me so much about Endpoint. The fact that so often you see a player go to a new team and they have that honeymoon phase and they're winning everything, and just part of you knows that it's eventually it's gonna catch up with them and they'll start to slow down. But what excites me so much about the trio that you guys have at the moment is that a lot of the goals that you were scoring were from obviously from Virtuoso being just insane and this 1 in a million player that does what Virtuoso does.
Or being absolutely horrible. Just being a real arsehole.
Fiend. Fuck him.
Being a vicious bitch.
A lot of the ones that you were conceding were where he'd just do it that one time too many. So even though you were doing as well as you were doing, from your guys' perspective, the balance can still be improved. So you're not looking at the team thinking, this is a honeymoon period and this is the best they're going to be. By sort of design, it can still be honed in, which makes me very excited. And I know, Stumpy, that you've sort of backed Endpoint. You mentioned it from the start. How are you feeling, right? I'm going to throw this to you. How are you feeling watching this guy joining Endpoint and making them what you expected them to be from the start?
So, for a bit of context, Mets, at the start of Season 9... and Endpoint came up. I think I watched the first time I really saw Endpoint play was the promo relegation tournament, and obviously they managed to get up through that. And I think I tweeted out, and I've got the tweet saved, saying that...
It's your wallpaper, isn't it? Like literally your wallpaper of your house. You've put it up there so everybody can see when they walk in. I was right once, and my name is Stumpy
I'm moving
Goblin.
soon. I've had it blown up into a vector, so I can have it as big as my house. So I basically said... they were playing a lot like Peeps, I guess, like with the Vert thing, which I didn't necessarily narrow down to him at the time. They're playing a lot like Peeps, where it was very dimly, very aggressive, individually, not as strong as big teams, but they were taking players out and playing their own game that other teams couldn't match. And I said, Season 9 would not be the season for them. They'd do fine, survive promo relegation if they got there, and then they'd do well in Season 10 when they can figure out the real play style. And as soon as I saw that you were playing with them in the spring series... it was just like, it was a jackpot. I was just like, tick, tick, tick. I'm so happy. I'm very pleased. I think everybody in our Discord was also very pleased to see that obviously you are going to remain competitive and that you are feeling confident. Like just saying that you're happy playing Rocket League still after like a really rough period and joining a team that I've backed for a while. Because good mate of ours, Eclipse.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Who Eclipse is... just mental as it is. He's fantastic. He's a subpar friend. He must bring like so much energy to the team as well because he's hectic to be around.
I mean, it's like all three of them are very nice persons to be around. Just like there's no negativity. I feel like everyone's feeling really positive about everything, and because usually it's two guys, and then if they're even positive, and then if something goes wrong, one could go like more quiet and like
or someone could let out a massive sigh, for example.
You can't help but sigh. As soon as you said that, I could see us all sort of sit up in our chair and just get ready to put out the sigh.
Yeah, so that can happen, but if it's like three guys, so Eclipse is pretty much always like involved in comms. He's always involved with everything we do. Is already like one further step for if someone is like down or whatever, he can come in and tell them to come on. Like, what are you doing? But like,
I love that.
something every team should have because it's like one extra layer of like protection in that sense.
I remember after the promo relegation tournament that the original Endpoint trio did survive. I think it was Virtuoso was singing Eclipse's praises, basically saying that Wave, one of them, basically saying that Eclipse sort of brought him back to the player that he wanted to be, and he got promoted to the RLCS which he had started to lose. Because I guess when you're in the RLCS and everyone else is playing the game a different way, even if it's subconscious, you start to play the game their way because these are the guys at the top, and surely they're doing something right. So it's nice to hear you sort of singing Eclipse's praises too as a relative newcomer to this roster. But I will say, Mets, that as Stumpy mentioned, Eclipse is a friend of Subpar, and I know for a fact that he's desperate to get on this podcast. So if he ever gets too big for his boots and he's being a knob, right, then ask him how many times he's been on the Subpar podcast, Mets, and how many times you have, all right? You can always have that one over him.
Yeah, thank you. I feel
That's
like
right.
also like to take on that losing confidence on his playstyle and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Endpoint gets a lot of shit from all of the pros and like all of the teams in RLCS, so I can imagine how hard it's been for them like last season.
How so?
Yeah, dig deeper.
I
mean,
you obviously don't have to like reveal much, but I've not seen any of that, at least like on the public facing side.
Yeah, of course you don't see it in the public, but like people just hate getting demoed. They get tilted, and people are like so stubborn, and they're like, "Oh, I get demoed. Try and do that in a real RCS match. I'm mad." But, like,
I love that.
Like they get so much shit from the streams, and then on like people stream and they're like, "Oh, these guys don't know what they're doing. Like, oh, they're actually dumb and don't do anything normal."
I love it,
Mate, the thing is, you said it yourself. It's balanced, right?
They're getting annoyed, and then they make it like they give it an excuse instead of blaming themselves for losing to it, whatever. They try and make it the others' fault, you know. And that's what all the Rocket League pros do for everything.
Like
honestly,
the fact that you've got like people who like Cole, if you watch that video, you will see that the amount of times that a player does something really predictable. Like I think a lot of it was Devo, where he would go into the net and he'd just do the exact same rotation every time. And Vert's like, well, I know where you're going to be then. And like, or he's just chasing someone. And he's just like, well, I'm going via boost and I will kill you. Like, it's going to happen. I love that it's working and it's tilting out of matches as well.
I'll have to ask you to send me that link earlier, because I actually Googled Chewy Virtuoso. And I got the result, 10 delicious desserts, especially for travelers. So that's not quite the search string that I need, even though the guy who made it is Chewy.
You gotta link me that video.
I will. I'll send you this. Coffee and beignets. What's a beignette? B-E-I-G-N-E-T.
It's a beignet. It's a. Oh, you look sure. It's a French dessert. It's like a sort of a sweet cake kind of thing.
Ah. So if I said beignette in France, as we were saying earlier, they'd look down upon me.
But I'd come in and say, sorry, a beignet. And they'd be like, oh, oui, oui, beignet.
They'd just pelt me with beignets.
Yeah.
I was going to say the reason I laugh so much at the pros who get tilted by demos is that we were chatting earlier about why it's balanced. Because if he misses that demo, you guys are screwed. And that is how you were conceding goals. You know, he misses one, and suddenly it's 2v1, maybe even 3v1 with the poor sod who's still back. So it's like, it's a perfectly balanced thing, as is everything in Rocket League. And I love that. I just love playstyles. You know, I love the fact that you can look at a team and they play differently to every other team. And anyone that sort of champions that and progresses that, I'm going to be a fan of as far as the Rocket League sort of on the pitch goes. So keep it up. Don't change, you know.
That's what I love with Endpoint as well, like that they're not so stubborn. Like you see it with all the pros that come up, like in these later seasons, they played a lot of rank. They're like ball chasers. They get called a ball chaser, then they make it to pro, and they're like complaining about everyone ranked. Oh, these guys are such ball chasers. When they've literally done the same thing, they've come up, but they're just so stubborn. They're not wanting to adapt, and I feel like with this team, they don't just whine at opponents doing dumb stuff and just try to actually prevent it from happening.
Are RLCS games chatty, like in text chat between teams?
No, RLCS games, no, but the scrims can be.
Oh, is there flaming going on in scrims?
Well, yes, if people get annoyed. It starts usually with quick chat, and then someone's like, why did you quick chat? You started. No, you started.
Oh, goodness me.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. I love that.
I don't.
Yes, you do. You love the drama.
No, I don't. I just want to stay out of it. Every time someone types or quick chats, I just ignore it.
Do you let out the big sigh? You just go.
No, I don't do that. That's not me.
So obviously we're talking about the RLSS, and I briefly mentioned that you did end up placing 3rd in Europe. I want to have a quick go at you because you did say, you put out a tweet that I saw, and I was like, oh, come on. Because you said, and I want to give you a chance to explain yourself, disappointed in my performance today, we finished 3rd. GG's, and thanks for the opportunity. I saw that and thought, and I replied as much, saying that, imagine saying that 2 months ago, we came 3rd. Disappointed with how I did. It's like, look back at where you've come from. Why were you disappointed in your performance?
Alright, read the tweet again. I said, I'm disappointed how I played today, which it was the day we lost both our games. Before that, the day before that, I tweeted, we reached 3rd, happy smiley. So I wasn't disappointed, but I was disappointed for how I played on that day. Does that make more sense?
I should have seen the tweet beforehand because I have not seen that original tweet. So I think I'm in the wrong. Holy shit!
Wait, what did you say?
Yeah, I'm wrong.
Mets, this has never happened before.
Yeah, I think I'm wrong.
Jesus Christ, you have an effect on people, Metsanauris. I mean,
Cole, you need to challenge me harder to make me feel like I'm wrong more often.
I need to be as likable as Metsanauris, and I just can't do that. That is, do you know what I mean? That's not something anyone can
big
just
issue.
do.
Yeah,
I could see how it's like. You could see, I got 3rd. I'm disappointed, but I was disappointed for how I played on that day because I really didn't play well against Virtuoso and Dignitas, and we could have definitely won, especially against Dignitas if I played better. But it happens.
So obviously, you got into the RLSS through the Open qualifiers by going completely unbeaten, and then your first series, you swept FC Barcelona, who obviously ended up getting swept in the lower bracket as well. What was the momentum like going through after that game? Did you expect for the win to be as big as it was?
Honestly, I was expecting it to be a win for us. I'd imagine it would have been pretty convincing, but even if it's if you can feel like if it's been a convincing win, even if you win 3-2, if you control the pace. I knew we're probably going to control the game and we're probably going to get the win. I didn't know it's going to be 3-0, and there were some fortunate things for us to happen that made it a 3-0. We scored a 0-second equalizer and stuff, so it couldn't have been so close, or it couldn't have been so dominant, but yeah, I felt like we were going to win that for sure.
Is that just because you feel that your play style with Endpoint contradicts Barcelona's?
Yeah, I've never feared Barcelona, I feel like, for some reason. We even beat them last season at the end of the season when we had the horrendous season. Everyone's like we were already out, and the mentality wasn't too great, so we still beat them in the end of the season. So yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I don't really fear them whatsoever.
So obviously it was a strong first day, which you did say on Twitter, which I missed. And obviously in amongst that first day, you 3-1'd Canyons, who had just come off a win against Dignitas. That, just going through into day 2 and carrying it over, the atmosphere within the team, you must have just been elated. You literally couldn't wish for anything better than you just had.
I mean, I could have wished for playing Dignitas instead and won them, but that's kind of taking it too far. So yeah, it was definitely very fun. I don't know why, but against Canyons as well, we played them in the qualifier and played them in a very similar series. It felt like we really have their number if we play against them. So for that game, we were really confident we're gonna win as well. Of course. So it was a really fortunate matchup for us, I feel like. But yeah, definitely at that point after Canyons win, we hadn't lost a single game throughout the qualifier and the upper brackets. So we're definitely living on a high before the next day, of course.
I'm just looking at your next day individual game results, and I don't know about you guys, but when I view Rocket League, I sort of tend to see each game as its own thing. So I'm not very good at sort of saying, oh wow, that series had loads of goals, right? For example. But looking at the scores, right? Endpoint Vitality 2-1, 1-2, 5-3, 4-3, 3-2. Okay? Endpoint Dignitas 3-2, 2-1, 3-1, 2-1, 4-5, and then 3-1. They are just goal bonanzas. Do you prefer games that are that chaotic? Because I can imagine when it's tight, the pressure just ramps up. But when there's going to be 6 goals per game anyway, you can sort of brush off any individual goal a little bit more.
I mean, like, if it's a really high-scoring game, it just happens so fast. Someone scores, and then you don't even have time to think before someone scores back, for example. It's very rare that someone scores like 3 goals and then the other team scores 3. It's always like 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. So it feels the same, but you just have less time to be like really focused, and it just goes by faster, I feel like. And you don't really have time to think what might happen if you do mistakes and stuff. Because if you have a long game going on, like 3 minutes of no scoring, you're really in the zone and thinking like you know how the game feels and you're going with it. But like if it's goals happening every time, it's kind of hard to stay in the rhythm, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, Cole, you were saying earlier that the play style of Vert is so... It's very obviously, if there's one error, then it can lead to a goal the other end. And I remember, whichever caster it was, during, I think, the overtime versus Dignitas, Vert missed a demo in like a midfield challenge by, it was like 1 or 2 pixels. It was unbelievably close. And I think Yukio then went and just scored like on the open net at the back. And it made sense because if Vert got that demo, then it was a goal for Endpoint. But it shows how much like it's just on... It's on a hair that it could go one way or the other. Is it then hard to come back from that, Mets, where like you get to a point that it came down to it being a miss by less than 3 pixels and then you've lost that game?
I don't think so. Yeah, that I feel like makes it even better going into the next game. You're like, we just conceded because 1 or 2 pixels. Let's get it next game. We were dominating or whatever. But like, I feel like all of those games, I can't remember which one it was, Vitality or Dignitas. It was like 4 overtimes or something like that. That could
go 4 against
way.
Dignitas, yeah.
Yeah, so if we just turned one of those overtimes around, we could have swung the series pretty hard. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of easy to say that like afterhand, oh, if we just won that overtime, but like, yeah, it definitely feels like if you lose in a close game, you feel like it's easier for you to come back to the next game.
But I mean, that was a thing on TSM as well, I believe, where I saw a table that was put on the subreddit where if every overtime went the other way, for example, this is how it would look. And I think TSM finished like 5th or something, like, because it's just how close those series can become, where it's obviously just next goal can change the entire outlook for the table as a whole. I guess it's one of those things where if it's an overtime, you can still take loads of positives away from it. Because you've scored, like I said, it's such high-scoring games, and it must keep you confident that, yeah, at least we can then score on them in the next game anyway.
Yeah, I mean, overtime, you shouldn't really think of it like as it could have been like your game, like especially like after the series, you should never think if we just won that overtime, we could have won or whatever, because like that's just gonna harm you and. You're gonna take away from what you could learn from it, but obviously there were so many like game 5 overtimes during the season for every team that could have gone either way. We lost I think Singularity was game 5 overtime that we lost to, but Singularity also won like 4 other game 5 overtimes, so their whole season could have been in relegation if they just lost 1 or 2 of those. So I mean, it's easy to say that afterhands, but like. Yeah, it is what it is, and it's important to be clutch in those overtimes, so props to people that can do that.
Well, overall, here's us having a good old chat about Rocket League esports and the events that have been going on, but I think we should throw some praise Psyonix's way, where it would have been so easy for them to have just cancelled the LAN and maybe had regionals and then had a massive quiet period, and I feel like Psyonix in the past, that would have happened.
Yeah.
But the fact that we've had the spring series, I think we should just take a second to say thank God to Psyonix that that's happening.
Massive, yeah.
There's also rumours about a couple more events. I've heard WSOE rumoured. We also have recently heard that they are enabling Johnny Boy and Incivic to team up again with $25,000 for EU and $25,000 for NA, which is fantastic. So we can, Stumpy and I can say how great RL Esports looks from the outside in till the cows come home. But I'm curious, Mets, are the players and you yourself happy with how Psyonix are treating the esport at the moment?
Well, I'm happy in a sense that it's gone to a better direction. I'm not like satisfied completely. I think what we need more than the actual tournaments is info, and like if we just knew beforehand that there is gonna be a tournament and they don't just release it 1 month before the tournament happens, that would be so much more beneficial than just having the tournaments like it is now, because everyone's depending on the tournaments happening, and if they don't know that the tournaments are happening, it's hard for people to get orgs and like work with people, we work with sponsors, like everything like that.
I think the fact that they've got the third party, or they've allowed a third party in what is ultimately Johnny Boy to host
some bloke.
Yeah, just some northern prick, like just to be like, hey, what's up? Can I just give players 50 grand? And they're like, yeah, go ahead, just do it, lol. I don't think we would have seen that from Psyonix a year ago, because we've seen them stifle other events where it's been a $15,000 tournament. We've seen them be really iffy with, what was that French one, Z-LAN or Z-LAN, whatever it's called, and they cancel
thing.
like the massive like multi-game LAN thing, and they're like, nope, Rocket League's not a focus, you can't have a massive LAN there then. And I like the fact that we've got this going on. I think as well, we should ask you, Mets, how are you doing at the moment? Because everyone's got their own things that are happening. Everyone is trying to obviously cope as well as pos. Obviously, you're playing a lot at the moment as well in tournaments, and you just came off a stream, obviously, to join us for this podcast as well, which is awesome. But how are you doing right now?
I mean, I'm pretty good, honestly. I'm in a very happy place, I feel like, with my mind. Obviously, it's been tough because I haven't been seeing pretty much any of my friends for a while now. Barely see my family at all. So it's been hard in the sense of when I'm not playing, I want to have some free time. I can't really do anything. So that's kind of hard. But like I feel like it's very easy for me. I like being alone. I like spending time working and like gaming and stuff. So it's not too bad for me. I could imagine it's gonna be a lot worse for a lot of other people. So I'm pretty good.
Good. I'm happy to hear that you're doing well, because as far as I remember as well, you live in the middle of nowhere, right? Like you don't live in a city.
Well, I didn't used to live in a city, but now I live in like a smaller city. There's like 200,000 people living here, so but I don't think it matters too much in my job because I'm just inside anyways all day, and I pretty much usually I just go to this one mall area kind of thing that has a gym, grocery store, barber, and that's it. That's the 3 shops that are in there, and actually 1 restaurant. That's usually the only place I go to. It's like 200 meters away from me. That's all the things I need in life, honestly. So this is the 200 meters that I'm moving is pretty much all I do, even normally. So it's not too bad.
How's the fitness keeping up? Because I remember you had quite a dramatic amount of weight loss when it was across, I think it was mid-2019. You posted a tweet. And, you were never fat. I'm being very careful with my words. So you weren't a fat person, but, you had a little bit of weight to lose, and you put a lot of effort. I'm looking at the before and after pictures now into losing that, which, first off, as you
look beautiful.
Congratulations. You do, and you still do look beautiful. So congratulations on 1, shedding that weight, and 2, managing to keep it off. That is brilliant. How has what's been going on at the moment affected that? Because you said that you can't access the gym, for example. It can be very tempting to say, fuck it, I want a pizza. What else am I going to do with my shit life? So I
That's
completely
what
get
I've
that.
been doing.
Hey, respect. There's nothing wrong with that. Genuinely, there's nothing wrong with that at all. You know, as you said, everybody has got different requirements for how they're dealing with whatever's going on. And some people have had to sort of like rely on comforts like that, which is fine. But I'm curious, Mets, for you, what is sort of, how has that been affecting you, the sort of health side of things?
Well, I definitely gotten lazier, but what I figured in my head that I'm like this season, I would say I'm just gonna live a more relaxed life. If I like stress about going to the gym or like exercising every day and stuff like that, I'm just gonna lose my mind, because you already started to lose your mind anyways.
Yeah.
So I've been very laid back in terms of that. I still eat well and eat healthy, so that hasn't changed. But I just don't go to exercise as much. I very much have let off of like hard exercising, just going for walks mostly and doing very laid back stuff. And then whenever gyms are allowed to go in again, I'm probably gonna start doing that pretty hard again, so I can get back into it.
Have you had any kind of roadmap in Finland where they're saying, okay, by like October we hope to have gyms and stuff open? Because we recently had a 5-step plan that was released. That was kind of, they said you can go outside but you can't if you meet your parents, but only one at a time, 2 meters apart, but you can't do that unless it's in the park, where you can't be there if you know more than 3 people. It's weird rules right now.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of roadmap so you sort of know roughly when stuff's going to be reopening over there?
Well, gyms haven't been even closed, I think, but like it's been like more like recommended that you shouldn't go there. Mm-hmm. So I don't really have quite the time when I can do stuff, but at the start of June things are gonna get a lot looser at least. Mm-hmm. So I guess I could start even then, but I'll see how it goes, honestly.
Yeah, fuck it, see what happens.
Go with the flow. I'm not too fussed about it, honestly.
Good man. I've recently had to try and cancel my gym membership because I'm moving very soon, and I rang them up to try and cancel it today, and they said, sorry, you can't cancel over the phone, you have to email. I'm like, that's great, I like that, but nowhere on the website did it say you can avoid an awkward phone call by just emailing us to cancel your subscription. So I G'd myself up to like call them, go on the phone, they go,
I hate making calls.
And they're just like, oh sorry mate, yeah, you have to do it by email. I'm like, okay, cool, thank you. Hung up, I'm like, you fucker. Like, why is that not on the website that I can do it without talking to someone?
Because I probably hope that you then spend at least another month thinking, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, now it's another step. And you're not forgetting it and send them 20 more quid.
I did it immediately.
Bastards.
I've been good
man.
with that. I've been good with
Good
that.
job, honestly.
Thanks, man. But it's, I'm and then I need to sign up to another gym where I'm moving to, which I'm excited about because it looks like it's a small place. It looks like very few people go there, but I think they invested in it, so all the equipment looks great. But I'm pretty sure it's just like a place full of old people, so no one's going to the gym. So I'm very excited to get going.
Where I used to live, there was a gym that was obviously tiny because where I lived was tiny, but it had all the fancy schmancy things. Like they gave you these like watch things, and to go there you had to get a watch, and you sort of swiped in with that, and you swiped on each machine, and it automatically tracked like how far you'd ran and how much you've lifted and stuff like that. So it might be like a futuristic cool one.
Yours was
designed
mental.
for very few. It was really cool. I loved it. Yeah, there were like screens on every treadmill and all sorts. I used to love that.
Actually live in the future.
Yeah,
we did. We lived in not quite. We lived in a very small bubble of the future, surrounded by the past where I lived before.
That's very fair.
Yeah, exactly. Don't think the whole place was like that.
I think that town had more clock towers than I've seen anywhere else, like anywhere else in England. I think there's about 5 on the way to the pub or something.
It got a Subway like sandwich place, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that open. And I think it's still open. I don't know where the customers come from because there's like 7 people there, but it's doing well. So well done to.
Well,
that
not
Subway.
right now. It's not.
Well, that's true.
You probably say where it is now, though, right? Because you don't live there anymore.
No, but I've still got friends that do.
I'll go on, dox them. What's their address?
What's
their address? Bleep it.
Not.
Say it and then remember to bleep it.
Why do you always test me? Betsy, he always does this. He tests me with the editing. Like, I swear he'll purposely, like, stumble on his words just so I have something to do in edit. No, not this time. Your reign of terror is over.
I will have the house that you used to live at as an address saved somewhere. I'm going to post it as a
tweet that.
reply to the tweet. Yeah, exactly. We always say we promise to post something in a reply to a tweet, and we never do. So I guarantee you I'll post your mate's house on the Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, we asked people for their questions that they would like to ask you, Mets, and we can go through a few of those. So, the first question is from GW Tag Marta, and what is a memorable moment that people who aren't in the pro scene wouldn't know about?
I think it's just my Finnish mind or whatever, but I can only think of negative things when it is a question like this. So maybe if it's something positive, I should forget because I don't know. It doesn't matter as much. But if I get like pissed, then I remember it. So there's been some good moments or like after parties, but you don't talk about those, because that's secret information. Probably bad things. I can remember the first Northern Arena tournament. I think they changed it for the second one because I wasn't there. But the first one was actually horrendous land. I'm not gonna lie, but
what was wrong with it?
Well, I fell off the stage because it was too small. There was no space for keyboards and mice and PCs on the stage. The practice PCs had no keyboards and mice, so you couldn't log in. The electricity went out on the theater. Can't remember all the things that were wrong there, honestly. God.
Makes you appreciate the DreamHacks, though, right?
Yeah, DreamHacks are fine compared to those, I have to say. But I think they fixed all those minor flaws for their second tournament, so I think it's fine. So I'm allowed to say that now, but it was quite the memory.
So I've just learned something there. Is Finland quite cynical? Because you said it was your Finnish mind that meant you could only think of the negatives.
Finnish people are, if you watch any CS players or listen to Magnus, is the most monotone voice you've ever heard. So it's like you automatically are depressed if you're Finnish or something. I'm not quite sure. So yeah.
I remember after the first season of the Gfinity Elite Series, we were at sort of like at a club or a bar with Data from Sweden, and he was explaining to us that in Sweden, if you're watching TV with your family, and you know the classic thing of a sex scene's coming on, where do I look? Because they're having sex on the telly and I'm next to my grandma, right? He was saying that that's bad enough, but in Sweden, it's worse when a male cries. Because an outpouring of emotion is seen as just the weirdest thing. We don't talk about that. We don't do that. Is Finland the same?
Yes, very much the same. I mean, there's some crying when you're drunk. When Finnish people are drunk, they're like normal humans. But if they're sober,
that's a good quote.
They're completely shocked.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Cool. All right, let's move on. What does your personal RL training routine look like from Renegade 1911?
Well, I feel like it's different on season, off season. Off season, I pretty much play ranked or free play or whatever when I stream. So that's 3 hours from 1 p.m. or whatever to 4 p.m. my time, and then I make dinner and do all that. Then in the evening you have the scrims, which is most RLCS teams, I think, at least do 2 scrims per day. So I have every time I come on 1 hour at least before the scrim starts. So I warm up in free play whatever for 1 hour, then I have scrims. They can be back to back, so it's just 2 hours. Or if they're not, I'll play the 1 hour in between or whatever, and then I take a break after scrims and do something RL and chill for a little bit, and then in the evening usually I do whatever I feel like. So that's maybe playing Rocket League, maybe playing another game, just playing with someone usually, just enjoying my time, playing more laid back.
What else are you playing at the moment?
At the moment, pretty much I don't really play that many games. Maybe Valorant is what I play. I played a little bit of CS. I used to play more, but now that Valorant came out, most people just play CS or Valorant out of my oil friends and stuff. So I'm awful in CS at the moment, so I hate playing it. So I've been sticking to Valorant mostly outside of Rocket League.
All right. Next question is from LOR Eclipse. What's it like being coached by subpar legend himself, Eclipse?
Horrendous, unfortunately.
He's not even been on the Subpar podcast, mate. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, he's a fucking nobody.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a
Get
tramp.
out of here, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can't believe he actually got his question on stream. That's a highlight for him.
Can't believe him. The audacity.
What are your hopes for the rest of the year? Can NDP make top 2 in RLCS next season? From Boy Legend.
I don't really have expectations yet, because we just formed and there's a lot of spicy stuff happening in EU, so we don't even know the rosters and everything. So I can't really expect anything. I'm just expecting to have a team where I can enjoy playing in and actually improve. So only the sky's the limit. So we'll have to see later on what the expectations are. I usually don't like setting expectations anyways, because that's just all gonna pretty much harm you. You can set goals, but expectations is not that great for you, I feel like. Agreed.
Next question from MBSRL. How do you, as a pro, feel about all the fan speculation on roster moves? Does hearing that people think one may be kicked have an impact on one's mentality towards the current team or the game as a whole? That question is worded really well. I love his use of one. It's good. Well done, MBSRL. Great question.
I feel like it doesn't affect them that much if you hear like rumors and stuff, because usually what affects them is their own team and what happens in that, and they already have enough problems in their team or whatever if there is rumors about them. So if a guy is getting kicked or wherever, they will know about it, even if they haven't been told that they're getting kicked. They will know about it before the rumors spread, or like if they're not actually done. You can see it from how people act. And
what about if somebody's not getting kicked though, and like say there was a rumor going around that you weren't gonna be staying on with Endpoint after the after Fusion or whatever? Would that affect your mentality at all?
I don't know. I usually try to get really straight with people, and I try to be honest with teams, so that this would never happen. I don't think this happened ever to me in my career, so it's hard to say. So I try to be completely honest and straightforward with people when it comes to things like this, and most teams start to do this these days, which is very good for everyone.
How do you change your playstyle if a team counters Virtuoso's constant demos? From HMS2747. What a name.
Good name.
That's a good question, because we've only played for a couple weeks. We haven't really gone through much. We haven't really watched any real plays yet. We've been kind of going with the flow and like seeing how we match naturally. So we haven't really gone through that. I'd imagine it's going to be more like going into a normal rotation and then having less demos. But it's like not like you can completely counter a demo playstyle. You can dodge them if you're good, but even then you're gonna have to jump and spin around like a mad lad to dodge them. So I don't feel like there's a complete counter to demos.
What is the true origin of the propeller hat? From Tahan RL.
Well, the true origin is that I got it from a festival 2015, I think, in Finland. Not quite sure why I bought it, but it was funny, and I bought it. And then I can't remember to save my life why I wore it on stream. Probably because I had a bad hair day, and all my other hats are ugly. So I figure that's why. That's where it comes from. Not too exciting, I'm not gonna lie.
Is that hat in Rocket League? Is there a propeller hat for your car?
Yeah, yes, there is, but it doesn't have the visor, so it's not quite the same, but almost.
Yours is an upgrade, exactly. It's like a worse version of your IRL one.
Yeah.
Okay, big question. What was it like at Landon when the crowd started the Metsanauris chants from Jablax Gargle? Jablax.
I hated typing that name so much.
Jablax Gargle would like to know what it was like in Landon when the crowd started chanting your name.
I mean, everything that happens, you're living on a high when you after a win, like that moment was, like straight after a win. Your adrenaline is rushing, and then it all gets released when you win, and you're so just pleased. I don't know, like you're just satisfied when you win, and then people started chanting, and it's like it just made the moment feel extra special, and it's definitely once in a lifetime moment for me that I can like look back on my career and be proud of what I've done.
You're showing a bit too much emotion here. I don't think you're actually Finnish. Yeah.
Or you're drunk.
I actually don't think I am Finnish at heart. There might be something wrong with me.
And, like I said, you might be drunk. Just always. Just for this,
yeah,
you could be drunk.
That's what it is. I was wondering.
Yeah.
Thing is, the Metsanauris chant was like, it's still one of my favourite ones that's ever happened. Like, it was every single person in there on with the metal floor as well that everybody was stamping on, clapping at the same time, the camera angles, the fact that Leaf just let it go as well. I was like, yes.
Leaf was quality as well.
Let this happen. Yeah. And it was just going around the arena. That was one of my favourite parts of London as well. I can't imagine how it was in the middle.
I remember seeing you, Mets, in the casino after season 5, and you'd had a couple of drinks, so you're a little bit more emotional. And you just seemed shell-shocked by the entire thing. I don't know if you remember this at all, but you were just saying, like, I'm just me. Why are they doing that for me? Like, you're like, you know when you're drunk and you keep repeating yourself? That's like, you just kept saying that over and over again. I think it was like a measure of how humble you are as a person, really, that at that point you were... you know, sort of one of the best sort of 5-6 players in the world without debate, and hopefully now your move to Endpoint is going to take you back up to that level. But even then, you still couldn't quite comprehend why people were chanting for you, and we were trying to explain it's because you're bloody Metsanauris and you're bloody good.
No, I remember that actually.
You do.
You were very drunk.
Yeah,
we were all
I had
very
a couple
drunk.
drinks, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's fair. We were all quite very drunk. So I remember walking back to, for some reason, our Airbnb was a church, and so we ended up walking back to our church that we were sleeping in at, I think, 7 a.m. And it was, I remember Cole stopped to look at a bird for about...
The massive bird!
The massive
fuck-off bird! What bird was it? It was like a vulture, Mets, honestly.
I
think it was gigantic. And it wasn't just sort of sat there innocently. It looked angry. It had its arms sort of puffed out.
He's not
Do you know what I
stopped
mean?
speaking
Like
about this fucking bird since
Probably
London.
just a duck.
It was massive. I'll have to find the pictures. They're there somewhere.
It's not
it was
just a
huge.
duck. I think it looked like a condor, which is like it's got like a 2-meter wingspan. I've no idea if they're in the UK, but it's London, so fucking anything can happen. Someone just might have a condor menagerie. But yeah, they're huge. What is your perfect Sunday from @JoeToys?
That's a good question, honestly. I really like what I do every day, so my perfect Sunday would be my perfect everyday, which is just living the normal life. I don't know what I would do in the morning, maybe go to the gym so I'd feel refreshed for the day, and then I do something probably optimally with my IRL friends or with my girlfriend or something during the day. Then in the evening, I do scrims, have a great bunch of scrims, feel great about them, don't lose a single game, just owning everyone.
I love this. Scrims are part of your perfect Sunday. That's so nice.
But I'm telling you, I love playing the game, I love screaming and improving. And then in the evening, I don't know, I hang out with my friends again or something, or play video games.
Yeah. Oh, that does sound nice.
Win some scrims against your friends, win some scrims against your girlfriend.
Yeah, just
go to the gym, win some
girlfriend.
scrims against some guy on steroids.
What, gym scrims?
Yeah, gym scrims. Yeah, big time gym scrims.
The Elf28 would like to know who you think is the best Rocket League personality.
Personality. So that means like streamers and YouTubers. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess casters as well, I suppose.
Okay. Jazer is my Finnish boy. Absolutely lovely guy. He's very humble. He's such a nice guy in real life as well. Very down to earth. He's achieved big things because he's a really hard worker. I have huge respect for that guy, honestly.
I have a
that's
story about Jazer along that humble line. 'Cause I didn't realise he would be, because when I went to DreamHack Leipzig, there was a bar called Enchiladas that served loads of cocktails and like really cool drinks and whatever, and they did a load of food. And we'd meet up there like after every one of the days and like get the back room, and it'd just be full of Rocket League people. It's the most I've ever spoken to Devo, because he was getting drunk there as well, and he was getting really chatty, and it was lovely. And I walked in, and it was like some community people that so it was like Tadpole and like sort of that kind of at the time the RLRS players, friends, community, etc. In amongst all of it, it was just Jaser sitting down, just having some drinks with everybody, just having a chat. And I was like, "Oh, you're right." And he goes, "Yeah, not bad. How are you?" Like, "Yeah, not bad." And I was like, "But you're Jaser, like, and you're just at like a really nice community, little fun bar trip." I thought it was very good to see. It was he did seem very, very genuine there as well. It was lovely.
Yeah, every time I met him in real life, he's such a great person to be around. Honestly, huge respect to him.
Oh.
Lovely. Final question from Twitter before we get onto a weird thing we're gonna do. From AVR Xnfant.
Change your name.
It's free on Twitter.
Change your name.
Yeah, you and Jablax Gargle, change your names. Are you missing the time spent with Method and their original squad?
I'm not like missing the times in a sense, because I still can talk to them every day. I can still hang around with them. I do miss the glory days, of course, because we did really well in tournaments and stuff. But like, everyone moves on in life. If things don't go forward, I feel like they go backwards, you know. So I'm not missing that time in a sense, but it was a great time. I definitely remember it with a warm heart.
Lovely. I love that squad. Obviously, there was, I think it was sometime last year, or earlier on this year. I think it's sometime last year, where I think I saw it on like Magnus's Instagram, where you a lot and him were just meeting up and like having a trip together and just having like, I think it was like a long weekend of just hanging out with the boys. And I was like, oh God, that is just lovely. It was just so sweet.
Yeah, it was Magnus's graduation party, and then me and Linus traveled there and had a blast that weekend, that's for sure.
Oh my God. Oh, there's stories from that.
No stories are allowed on podcast.
Respect. Okay, I like it. Okay, so those are all of our Twitter questions. Thank you, everybody, for submitting questions on Twitter. Keep an eye, if you want to ask a question in the future, on subpar.nhd on Twitter, because we always tweet out a day or two before when we get a guest on. If you want to ask them anything, so make sure you...
unless we forget.
Listen.
And then we do it like an hour before. But, you know, at some point before.
At some point, yeah, keep an eye. Just have it like a setup with alerts or whatever. We've got an odd thing to go into, because an odd thing happened because of last week's podcast.
I'm intrigued about it, because I didn't know about this either. This is something that you've cooked up, and it's like a game with me and Mets, right? As far as I'm aware, that's all I know as well.
So basically, for context, Mets, I can see for our podcast all of the stats that come through for anybody who listens on Spotify and iTunes and like Google and whatever. I can see all the stats for it, including what people listen on, so Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., down to what device they use to listen to it on. Some people, I found out, listen to this podcast on their Apple Watch. Like, not linked to their headphones or anything. Or it might be, I don't know. But their Apple Watch, they play it on there, not through their phone or anything, which I thought was mental. I don't know why you'd ever do that, okay? And I also picked out a place in Ohio called Norwood, which had 7 listeners. So 7 people in Norwood, Ohio, which looked to be sort of like a mid-sized town city thing in America. 7 people there just having a good time listening to the podcast. And I thought, you know what? We'll mention that. A guy then on Twitter called @ExoticVT tweeted a video of himself listening to me say that from his Apple Watch. And then he asked his Google Home how far away he was from Norwood, Ohio. And he was a 7-minute drive away. So he was both an Apple Watch person and a Norwood, Ohio person in one. And that blew my fucking mind that either of those overlap. And I have got, Cole and Metsanauris, a little game for you. Because this week, our weird place where people are listening from is Etibicoke, Ontario.
Hey.
Yeah, just a little
Cool.
place. Do you want to know some facts about Etibicoke, Ontario?
Yeah.
Bring
Tell
it.
me all.
Yeah, do you want to know
go
a
on.
couple of facts? Because I want you guys to then tell
check
me
us.
quick things about it. So, it's got a population, has Etibicoke, Ontario, of 365,000 people. And it boasts one of 3 best golf courses in Canada, according to a 2007 vote on the Canadian Golf Course Directory. Ooh, it's a real holiday destination.
If you like golf in 2007.
Yeah.
Might be shit now.
Have I sold it to you so far?
Nope.
Do you play golf,
Okay.
Mets?
I play disc golf. Do you guys have that in?
I played Ultimate at uni. Never done disc golf, but I have played Ultimate Frisbee, and I loved it, so I would happily play
You can see Cole's big Virgin Frisbee above him there.
Yeah, you actually can. Got it behind me when I stream.
That's fair enough. Honestly, disc golf is like the ultimate game without running. So you can just get focus on the throwing part.
No, the running's the best bit. I'm a runner. I
Yeah,
sprint away and
feel
I
that as
catch.
well.
I don't throw.
But the problem is you need to have a good group of people to play ultimately.
That's true.
But frisbee golf you can do with however many people you want.
You can do it in the house as well. Just aim at the bin or whatever.
The one way, but they don't use actual frisbees, do they? Right? It's like little sort of like flat rubber discs, or is it actual frisbees?
Yeah, they're like, I mean, they're not called frisbees. I think they're discs, but
Yeah.
like obviously they work the same way. They're just way better. It's so much more fun to throw a disc that flies like a fucking bird for like 200 meters or something. It's amazing, honestly.
Flies like the bird I saw in London after season
The
5.
massive
It was
condor.
fucking massive. I'm not exaggerating. It was huge.
It must have been
Yeah,
a condor.
those discs, they're massive, honestly.
Amazing. It might have been a disc hole that was like propped up on like an antenna. It may never have been
Maybe.
a bird after all.
I don't know if that would make me feel overjoyed or really disappointed that my whole life is a lie.
You never know. I want to play a game with both of you guys
Yes.
about Etibicoke, Ontario, and I'm going to tell you 2 truths.
That sounds like Finnish, by the way. Etibicoke. It sounds like it means like
Ontario.
Coca-Cola over there or something.
Do you want a bottle of Etibicoke? I'll get it from the Ontario. I'm going to tell you 2 truths and 1 lie about Etibicoke, Ontario. And you have to
Okay.
tell me which one is the lie. So, the first fact, wink, is Etibicoke, Ontario, had the 14th highest number of bow and arrow related offences in Canada in 2009. Okay?
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. Meds, don't shake your head. This is a fun game.
Yeah, I'm gonna forget by the time you're at the
It's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna unhighlight. If you're on the document, I'll unhighlight this. There we go. Look, now you can see that one. So I had the 14th highest number of bow and arrow related offences in Canada in 2009. Right.
Okay.
The next one. 1.1% of the population of Etibicoke, Ontario, is Aboriginal. So they're an Aboriginal people, and it takes up 1.1% of their population. There you go. It's been unhighlighted.
That's like Australian Aboriginal, right? Like I think it's from Australia.
What I
Aboriginal
read,
people?
wink, said Aboriginal. That's the only word I was given.
Okay.
I don't know if
If I win this, I'm honestly gonna throw in the lottery today.
right. The third one might make it obvious. Because my third fact about Etibicoke, Ontario, is one of the main sports played in Etibicoke, Ontario, is ringette, a variation of ice hockey that does not allow intentional body contact and boasts 700 male competitors.
What, in one match?
No, no, not in
Jesus
one match.
Christ, that's a big old game of ringette, isn't it?
Yeah, big old ringette. So it's non-contact ice hockey that does not allow intentional body contact and boasts 700 male competitors. And I can confirm wink, that is in the league of all the registered people, probably. Okay.
Are we answering for ourselves, or are we able to confer?
I think you can confer. Have a little chat about Etibicoke, Ontario. What you thinking?
Alright, I'm not revealing my secrets here, I'm not gonna lie to you, so...
We just said we're a team! Jesus Christ, man!
I'm about to win this. I'm about to win
Oh
this.
my god, you're competitive.
Sorry if this isn't leading to your perfect Sunday unless you bloody win.
He wants to win the Etibicoke scrims.
We'll go individual. Screw him.
Well, I'll tell you what. I will ask both of you which one, and I want your thinking. I want you to tell me why you think it's the answer that you've given. So, Metsa, I'll start with you, mate. Which one do you think is a lie?
I think it's the second one.
Okay, what's the second one again? If you could read it for the
1.1% of the population of Etibicoke, Ontario, is Aboriginal.
Okay, why do you think that?
No, I'll let Cole go first on his response. Then I'll tell why.
Oh my
then I'll tell why.
god! Okay, Cole, what do you reckon, mate?
Bloody hell. Well, I mean, I was sort of thinking that one, but I'll switch it up to make it interesting.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking that one for sure.
I think that the ringette one is true. That sounds very Canadian to have a less aggressive version of ice hockey.
Okay.
Because ice hockey is just too much and they have to apologise, etc.
Have you seen the Canadian
So I'm
ice
going to go
hockey
with the
stuff?
fake
It's
one.
Mental.
Yeah, they're actually mental, in all seriousness. I'm gonna say that one's real. I think the fake one is that Etibicoke, Ontario, had the 14th highest number of bow and arrow related offences in Canada in 2009. Because I think what you've done is taken a real statistic. It's actually the 13th. And changed one number to do a tactical lie.
Interesting.
Rather than think of something sort of off the top of the head.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing about my fact.
Okay, so you guys think...
The percentage was different on the second one.
What percent do you reckon it is,
Yeah,
Max?
you think I fluffed it.
2.2.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just a straight half. Get rid of half of it.
I'm going to say that
Aboriginal.
Etibicoke had the 13th highest number instead of the 14th highest, which is what you said.
I can tell you one of the true ones is that one of the main sports played in Etibicoke, Ontario is ringette.
We're both sure of that one.
Yeah, that one you guys locked it in. I went to the ringette website and there was, I think, 2,200 female competitors and like 700 males because they're like, by the way, men can play it too. It's basically the like the light version of hockey.
I can tell you, I played ringette, and it's a very much a sport in Finland as well.
I guess it's like tag rugby we have in England, where obviously rugby you're sort of charging at each other and cracking each other's legs. But in tag rugby, you have to sort of take you have like ribbons behind you that you sort of tuck into your pants or into your shorts. And if you grab their ribbon, then they're out. So we have the equivalent thing here for sort of more aggressive sports of the softer version.
The other true one is... Nice. 1.1% of the population of Etibicoke, Ontario is Aboriginal.
I cannot believe it.
You could have teamed with me, Mets. You could have had this victory.
No, you would have said the same thing. You just confirmed it yourself. If I didn't say that.
Yeah, you'd have dragged me down with you. Sure, I'll agree with that.
So I would have lost either way.
The bow and arrow one is completely made up. It's not anywhere on any amount. Imagine it's like somewhere on the bow and arrow related offences in Canada, but I didn't even Google it. I've just made that one up fully. So that is the lie.
You have a great imagination.
Thank you. So,
He does,
cool. I reckon we can make this into a feature as we go along.
Colby guests.
With our guests, I'll look at a weird place that's in our viewership, and I will pick 3 facts, and we'll see how many of the guests can get versus Cool on random facts in these places. Metsa, congratulations for being the first competitor of...
First loser.
That's a weird place.
Oh, I can't believe I've lost, honestly.
Terrible Sunday. Terrible.
Honestly, terrible.
This Thursday is the
I
worst
worked
Sunday
so hard
you've
for
ever
this
had.
as well. I did everything I could to make this work.
The logic was good. We both had the same reasoning. I just got
50% chance. No lottery today.
We both saw Ringette for what it was, and then it was down to the other two. So we'll give ourselves that little win.
I'm amazed that you played Ringette. That shocks me. I've never heard of it. The pictures just look like hockey. I had to go to 3 Wikipedia pages to see the difference.
It's just easier hockey, There's a stick instead of having a stick where there's like in the end it's a curve, It's a complete that was straight stick, and then you put it in front of the puck or inside the puck, so the puck has and you bigger. Fling it. The puck is bigger, and then it's just a ring. So you put your stick inside it, and then you dribble it. So it's way easier, That's ice hockey for noobs.
The wiki page said that it had a stick with a plastic end, but it never explained why the fuck it had that. It just said it has this, but that makes a lot of sense now that you can put it inside the ring instead of the puck. I like it.
Edit the wiki.
I might need to, because genuinely it confused me. I had to go to the Ringette fucking website to find out why it was different.
Do that.
Metsanauris, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Subpar Poddy Scene, mate. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and best of luck going forward as well. With if you stick with Endpoint, of course, or no matter where you end up going, we will be supporting you all of the way. Is there anything you'd like to say to anybody, or like where you stream as well? Because I know that you're going to be doing that a little bit more often too.
Well, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram. Instagram needs more followers. Twitch with the same name, Metsanauris. And shout out to everyone. All the haters that called me a boomer. You guys make me work harder every day.
Wait till you're my age, mate.
God, yeah. How old are you, Met?
21.
Oh, fucking hell.
Oh, God.
There's people in Twitter and Reddit calling me a boomer when Endpoint played with Mitchells. So those are the guys that drive me forward every day.
Good. Fuck them. I hate them all. All right, everybody, thank you for listening to this episode. Like we said earlier, you can listen on Spotify, on iTunes, and other random places. The YouTube channel for these episodes, it is now live. I just need to upload all of the episodes onto there that we have missed so far. So I think there's 2 that I still need to do, but I need to render them as well, and they render to big sizes at the moment for some reason. But yeah, keep it on the description because I will be putting the channel in there. Otherwise, we'll see you in episode 43, I think, is the next one.
I've lost count. It's all the same, innit, mate?
Jesus. All right, it's in a bit, team.
Fucking bye.
See ya.